placed second, I think, in the 65s, and I think I finally placed second or third or fourth in the 81 a couple of times. And after I graduated from college and came over here to work, career moved a little bit, but in all honesty, it took me about 15 years to get to be a national level lifter, where I was in the magazines all the time and breaking records and meet records and things like that. It took me 15 hard years of training to get the tendon and ligament strength, I guess, to be of that level, because I was certainly not. I was kind of like the average person as far as size concerned. And it took a long time to develop that. And of course, just like everybody else, work and school and family and all those things have to have a priority. And frankly, they just kicked the crap out of my ambitions. And finally, about 1966, I changed jobs and changed my approach to lifting, and by handling really tremendously heavy weights and just making myself do them. And you know, the kids were talking about squats, and a guy told me in York, Pennsylvania, which was the mecca of strength at that time, where Mr. Hoffman was, and my best friend Bill Starr, the fellow that became my best friend, said I was really good at the press and all this kind of stuff, but my squat was pathetic to be that strong in the press, and unless I got my squat up, I was going to be a state level lifter or worse the rest of my life. If my ambitions were more than that, I had to get to a 500 squat, and so that was what I went after, and sure enough, it worked for me just like it did the kids after. And to excel, you have to be willing to pay that price. I mean, that's no secret to anything in sport or anything in life.
That's, you know, that interests me, you said the word secret, because you'll open up the magazines now, Jack, and it'll be, you know, so-and-so's secret to a back, or deltoid secrets or whatever. And what I heard from these guys, and certainly what you're echoing now, is there were no secrets. The reason more people don't make it to the top, they're just not willing to work hard enough and endure a lot of the pain that you have to endure.
Oh yeah, it's tremendous work, and after my lifting career was over, which was a sad day for me, I lifted competitively until I was about 41, and then finally it was obvious to me, and my joints and things just weren't going to take it anymore. It's just like a machine, and I started bodybuilding, and that has been a thrill, and that's entirely different. And it probably took me 2 or 3 years to get a mindset different, to instead of putting up numbers, coming in and doing 250 for 5, 6, or 8, or 10, and having that your ambition, and that's what your goal was, to come in and work the muscle instead of lifting weights. That was hard for me, because all those years of the numbers was hard.
I know that you're in the North Carolina Hall of Fame for weightlifting and bodybuilding, and when did that come through? When was that announced?
I think that was about 4 or 5 years ago. I had already got all the awards for people that they think are not going to do anything anymore, like all the plaques and things. Like when I made my last round of certain areas in the country, they give me plaques and watches and clocks, thinking they'd never see me again. Well, I had no intention of retiring, and I think maybe they thought I was retiring as the Hall of Fame, but I'm the only one in there for weightlifting achievement in bodybuilding, and that was a really nice thing for them to do, and I appreciate it, and it's something that I'll cherish, and but I surely hope I can add some more to it. Absolutely,
and we're going to talk about adding to it in a second. One last thing I want to say, we talked about Bill Starr's book, The Strongest Shall Survive, and that's a book you definitely need to get, because it kind of runs parallel to everything that Jack's talking about, and they, of course, have been good friends for years. What impressed me the most when I ordered my second copy of that book was, if you go to the back, or actually the front, and it mentions the acknowledgments, Bill Starr mentions about 500 people, but the first person mentioned is Jack King, and that just kind of knocked my eyes out, because here I am training at Jack King's gym. And you talk to people on a national scale. I talked to the publisher of Milo, and he said, "Is that the Jack King?" So, you know, here we are in Winston-Salem, but I hope this show has shown that there are people here who have done tremendous things, most of them under the tutelage of Jack. So it is an honor, Jack, to be standing here. What's coming up, okay? Because we're going to wrap up. But what is coming up on your agenda as far as the next competition?
June 28th, Mr. America in Fort Lee, Virginia. That's I won the height class, tall class last year, and lost overall by 1 point. And I just hope that wasn't my moment. I mean, you know, sometimes you think all day this is your moment, just like you're in a zone shooting basketball or something. I hope that wasn't it, because I've busted my can this year. I've trained every day and done everything right, and been careful not to hurt myself, because I didn't want to miss any training. But it's been a quest, and whether I win it overall or not, I'll probably try it again the next year. But this will be a really real feather in my cap, because I've won all the USA's in the Eastern Coast and all this sort of stuff. If I could win, I won the height class in Mr. America in 1982 over 40, Natural Mr. America, which was a 5-year drug tested. And at 6, this would give me national titles at 35, 40, 50, and 60, and that would be something I'd really like to do. And if I can get this out of the way, I can start playing him for the over 65.
Absolutely. Which it's got to be in South Florida somewhere with all the condominiums, right? Well, we are definitely going to keep our eyes open for the next contest. Be keeping in touch with you, of course, weekly on our show. And for now, I just want to thank you, Jack, for joining us. This has been a great show, and I appreciate your time.
Been my pleasure. I learned some things about these boys that really made me feel wonderful.
Well, time to wrap up the show. Chris, that was a heck of a show, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It was a lot of people that, like you said, I knew the faces, but the names were a little foggy. It's great.
Yeah, because you were working out at the gym back then.
Yeah, they were awesome. These guys were animals.
Yeah. And you know, today we think about the guys lifting, and everybody's just kind of in this fantasy world.
Yeah.
Kind of like, well, maybe I'll just take it in a box.